I'm the closest thing you'll get probably to a downtown representative. But
Thank you, David, very much.
I live
You're almost there, I understand.
Right, I split my time between Federal Hill, West Broadway, and
You're
downtown because I'm kind of in a no man's land. I used to run the Wayland Square Association. But my question is more general. Nick said that he was looking to roughly raise the population in Providence from whatever it is, 175,000 to 250. If you look at the census figures, Providence did have like 240 or 250,000 people back in 1950. But that was a very different time. I guess a lot of people had come because of the war industry. And that was when you had very big families living in crowded triple deckers, before building codes made it, of course, less and less density. So, question is, how can, and the other big question, of course, is workforce housing. How can people who work in the city afford to live in the city? So, what are your answers to that?
Okay, so I want to try to rephrase that. How can people who work in the city afford to live in the city? Is that the question you want addressed?
Well, that combined with what do you think is a population goal that's workable with that without bringing in a lot of people to live in luxury condos?
Okay.
Okay. I don't think, have I started first? I don't know, but I'll take it. So how do you work in this city and live in this city? Complex, multi-layered. One is you have the types of businesses on varying levels that allow you to earn the money that you need to earn. Sometimes you may be able to work that second job, that nighttime economy job, that small business job, that coffee job for you. You have to combine that with some level of housing that incorporates the needs economically of everyone you want in your city. We use words like diversity and inclusion all the time. We're not creating a diverse and inclusive housing market. We have to create the diverse and included housing market. You need the money to do that. We need the businesses, more businesses, to do better and do well. We have to think of some of the stranglehold regulations on them so they can pay more to their employees, so they can provide more. I can tell you that my employees, they make enough to live in this city. Why? Because I'm doing well. When I'm doing well, they will do well. It is not mutually exclusive. We have to make sure that we get that. That's the same with the city. If the city's doing well, the residents should be doing well. The business owners should be doing well. It shouldn't be either or. So I think we have to start there. It has to come from jobs, economy, and actually defining what it costs to live in the city for everyone at whatever level you are earning.
Thanks. Nick?
David, first, thank you for your question and for being here. I don't think I've ever met anybody in the city of Providence that has a longer memory than you have.
Oh, where's Greg? He's in this room.
Grant.
Grant, where is he?
So, all right, to answer your question,
Another
though,
one, but
Providence is, despite its many flaws and the negative attitude towards its economic prowess, it is the bulk of the state's economic engine, where most of the state product comes from. So I don't really approach that question from if you build it, who will live there. I like to think of it that if there's opportunity, housing opportunity availability, then we can organically grow just by just by that nexus and critical mass that housing is. There's no question about it. It's been studied since in my memory, since the Cicilline administration, that Providence has a substantial housing shortfall. You've heard me talk about several times tonight that I'm an ardent defender of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan took into account some of these considerations and saying that as we look to redevelop properties, density should be taken into consideration. So what I don't want to have happen, and I'm on the record vocally opposing a few times that this happened in my district at FP&A, to magically have a quaint, small building that's not on the historical register, but that looks like it could be, torn down to have some plastic thing put in its place. I really don't like that. But there are places in the plan that in greater discussion where as we look to build more buildings downtown and Julie District and elsewhere, and or as the tides of change happen when buildings have to get redeveloped, that we look to take things to perhaps a steeper level wherever it's appropriate in terms of density.
John?
So my answer to that question is about smart development and affordable housing and zoning practices. So I think we've got to encourage economic development that increases jobs and municipal revenues for public schools or roads or infrastructure, all while making sure that neighborhoods and neighborhood residents are in consensus with some of those projects. We also have to fight for job equity. We have to raise minimum wages, and someone working for $10.50 an hour isn't living well in our city, and they can't afford to live in our city, and that's partly because of our lack of affordable housing stock. And so we have to address that, and I think we have to support a higher minimum wage with no exemptions, and I think we have to do that indexed to inflation and phased in gradually so business owners and workers can plan, budget, and adapt for those changes. That's going to help everyone in our economy. And we also have to think about things like earned sick and safe time, which is going to effectively allow our labor force to be the best that they can be, but also have those high standards in their work. And I think ultimately it's about supporting our mom and pop businesses. You know, I was someone who, fought for that Gano Street exit to be open because I talked to all of those business owners and I said, how is this having an impact on your business? And they said, well, we're experiencing a downtick in some of our business because that exit isn't open. So if we look at it like that and we help everyone, whether that's our small business owners, whether that's our, again, mom and pop shops in Fox Point, College Hill, Wayland Square, downtown, and we provide really great equitable job options for these folks and think about affordable housing, we can have an incredible impact on everyone that lives in the city.
Thanks, John.